A very straightforward question, Mr. CM. How does this mega project come about, and why the integrated links in Penang?
Actually, it started because the previous government had approved a massive land reclamation project. It was approved both at the federal government level and the state government level. And of the 980 acres, they have already reclaimed 240 acres. So the contract had already been partly performed. The state government had no grounds to stop the project. We have to honor the contractual agreement, or else, of course, they will sue us for that loss. And definitely, there's no case to answer in court. We felt that since this is already decided by the previous government and it's a done deal, we have to try to make the best of the situation. And we felt that, okay, since they are going to go ahead with the land reclamation anyway, why don't we try to extract the maximum and get more than what was given, and at the same time give back to the public in terms of better roads, better infrastructure and better connectivity. And that's where these roads came about, that you have to give us that portion of the land so that it can resolve the traffic problems, and that will also help to, you know, facilitate their project, because they don't want their projects to be jammed also. So I think as a result of that discussions which they agreed, we went ahead with the proposed traffic dispersal scheme involving four major areas. One from Tanjung Bungah to Butterworth and Teluk Bahang, two from the Falim, the Bandar Baru Itam area to Tun Lim Chong Expressway. Thirdly is the inner ring road from Gurney Drive to Tun Lim Chong Expressway, so that we can avoid the inner city or the heritage enclave of Georgetown. And finally, a third link between the island and mainland from Gurney Drive to Bagam Ajam, Butterworth, so that there can be an additional traffic dispersal from the island, instead of all cars congregating on one entry or exit point, which is now on the Penang Bridge, or the second entry and exit point. When you have a third link, you'll be able to disperse the traffic. So in a way, Jimmy, this was an attempt to make the best of the situation, to get the best of both worlds, that whilst we have to allow the reclamation to proceed because it was approved previously, at least we get as much out of it as we can. And what we got was, as I said, new highways to improve connectivity, not only within the island, but between the island and the mainland. And that will help to bring both the island and the mainland closer together, as well as to show that we do not neglect the mainlanders, and bring also progress to Seberang Perai Utara, the northern part, the northern district of the mainland.
Most of the concerns from the public, based on the previous dialogues that the state government had with the public, are mostly directed to the proposed Undersea tunnel, and from Gurney Drive to Bagam Ajam. Despite people knowing that, you know, in cities throughout the world like Hong Kong and Shanghai, you have
Singapore also.
In Singapore also, they have this undersea tunnel. What's the public's fear, and is this a safety issue involved?
I think it's a combination of the suspicion and the cynicism towards government projects that were conducted by Barisan National Government in the past. Because when they made promises, their promises were made to be broken. And then it always ended up as a crony project that benefited the few at the expense of the many. But this is a different government. This is a PR government. We were elected to bring change, to prove that a clean government can outperform a corrupt government. I think we have proven that consistently over the last 5 years. The whole project was done by open competitive tender, originally estimated by my officials at 8 billion, but because of the open competitive tender process, what was originally estimated at 8 billion ringgit was finally awarded at 6.3 billion ringgit. When you talk about the safety as well as the environmental issues, we have stated very clearly that this is subject to DEIA, Detailed Environmental Impact Assessment Study. Only when you get approval from the DEIA, then only can the project be allowed to proceed. If the DEIA does not approve, the project simply does not proceed. So, and it's an undersea bed tunnel. It's not on the seabed, it's under the seabed. So in many respects, engineers have told me that this is even more environmentally friendly than building a bridge. A bridge would create even greater adverse environmental impact compared to an under seabed tunnel.
Many queried about the logic of exchanging acres of land, of prime land, it seems, to the company for the road project. How does this mechanism work, and do you think that it's fair for the state and also the people of Penang of this exchange?
No, when this land was, or when this land recognition was given to Tanjung Pinang development, the previous government sold it at only 1 ringgit per square feet. Let's give away prices. But don't talk about that. Talk about exchanging land to build roads. You know the Tun Dr. Lim Expressway, formerly known as the Gurney-Tun Expressway. How did the state government under Kosukun, how did the BN government finance the construction of the 325 million ringgit highway? By exchanging land. And how much land did they give them? 325 acres. That means for 325 million ringgit project, you get 325 acres. Here, for 6.3 billion ringgit project, you get only 110 acres. So comparatively speaking, don't you think that we have got a better deal under the open competitive tender mechanism? I just got back from Cebu yesterday night. You know, in Cebu, they were very interested in how I could exchange 110 acres for 6.3 billion ringgit project. Because they say that in Sarawak, when the government didn't have the money to pay 200 million ringgit to a crony company of the BN leaders, you know how much did they give them in terms of land? For 200 million ringgit, 100,000 acres of land. So that mechanism is not started by PR. That was started by BN. But there was no open tender, no open competitive tender. Whereas we do open competitive tender, we extracted the maximum benefit to the state and to the people of Penang.
About tolls. Currently, road users are paying toll to cross to Penang.
Yes.
Whether it's from the bridge or from the ferry. The same will probably be collected once the second link is ready. What about the undersea tunnel? Does the state government pay for traffic guarantees? Or does the public have to pay for toll to use underwater tunnel?
The 4 highway projects that we signed, as I mentioned just now, 3 are toll free. Only 1 you have to pay toll, and that is the tunnel, the undersea bed tunnel. Why do you have to pay toll? Principally because we do not want to go to war with the federal government. If you give it free, then we have to give more land now, which is what we wanted initially. But we felt that if we give it free or charge the toll rate lower than the second bridge, the federal government will take legal steps to prevent this project from proceeding on the grounds that we are deliberately sabotaging the collection of tolls in the second bridge. You know, they have not even started collecting toll. But if you have a toll-free tunnel, then nobody in their right mind will use a second bridge. They will all go come to the tunnel, which is even shorter. It's 7 kilometers, more than, I think it's less than 1/3 of the second bridge. Even though we charge toll, Jimmy, you must remember also that this is an unique toll concession agreement. Unique in the sense that we are not giving, or we are not providing a traffic volume guarantee. All toll concessions have traffic volume guarantee, which means that if the number of vehicles using the roads or using the bridge or the tunnel does not reach a certain level, the government has to pay compensation. So they have guaranteed profits. But here, we do not guarantee profits because we do not give you or do not provide you a traffic volume guarantee. So in that sense, the toll operator assumes all the risk of losses. They have to bear it. If the number of vehicles don't reach the desired level, the state government does not compensate. So this is very different from the federal government model. We show that it can be done without providing a traffic volume guarantee. Because finally, when you have a traffic volume guarantee, it is the people of Malaysia who loses out. And it's that crony company that benefits. Because you have to keep on paying them. That's number one. Number two, the difference between this toll concession and the BN's toll concession is this. This is only for 30 years. The second bridge is for 45 years. Of course, some may say that aren't you talking about abolishing tolls? We are talking about abolishing tolls for those companies which have already recouped their capital investment and are now just collecting profits. We are opposed to extraordinary profits. That's why for the North-South Highway, we say the time has come to abolish tolls in the North-South Highway. It cost 6 billion ringgit to build, and they've collected, has at the end of 2010, mind you, not 2011, 2012, as end of 2010, they've collected 24.3 billion ringgit, making a profit of 18.3 billion ringgit, 3 times their capital investment. And yet they will be collecting toll until 2038, Jimmy. That's unfair. That's grossly unfair. Not only will they collect toll from you, not only will they collect toll from your children, even your own grandchildren, they won't let go. They won't let off. No, I have a dream of using the North-South Highway free of charge from Perlis to Johor Bahru. But if I follow Barisan Nasional, or if Barisan Nasional still runs the government, I have to wait until 2038. I don't think I can wait that long, you know. I won't be around then. But now we have a chance. If we win federal power, next month, we can use the North-South Highway for free. As I said, we are only talking about abolishing tolls which have already recouped their capital investments and are making extraordinary profits. For those that have not recouped their investment, like the second bridge, you can't abolish tolls when they have not even repaid what was invested. I mean, you've got to be fair.
Several NGOs, especially Penang Forum and CAP, seems to be fiercely opposing it. Is their argument point out of context, or?
No, I'm a bit disappointed that whilst we are willing to engage, we want to hear your inputs, I'm a bit disappointed that their arguments are based on sentiments and are subjective. I think one should be objective and factual. After all, I mean, you can give your opinions freely, but facts are sacred. I think that must be respected. The concerns of the NGOs that we should be focusing on public transport instead of building more roads has been practiced by the state government for the last 5 years. But we all know that public transport is the sole prerogative of the federal government. There's nothing we can do if the federal government refuses to cooperate. And the last 5 years, we have tried our hardest to get public transport going. We even tried to buy buses with our own transport company to provide bus services. That's rejected by the federal government. And then we tried a pilot scheme. Why don't offer free bus services? We did that for cat buses around the heritage enclave in Georgetown. Free bus rides, very popular. Extended it to the park and ride system from Seberang Jaya to Beng Lepas to Balik Pulau, back and forth. Spend 3 million a year. And we decided to extend it to giving free bus rides during peak hours. Willing to pay the federal government 10 million ringgit. But they refused. So when they refuse, what can we do? We want to buy our own bus companies, you don't give. We give you money to give free rides. We give you money to give free bus rides. You don't want to take. Hey, got company don't want to take money offered to you. So what else can we do? Clearly they want to choke us to death. They talk about the monorail. They have promised doing the monorail since 2007. And they have never delivered their promise. Of course now they recycle the promise again for 2013. But what are we going to do? Are we going to wait passively, do nothing, and let them choke us to death? I refuse, this government refuses to let the BN federal government choke Penang to death with traffic congestion. That is why we are offering these alternatives. That this is one way out of reducing traffic congestion. No, I think it is only fair to the young that we start doing this now. As you mentioned earlier, it will be taking 10 to 12 years to complete this tunnel and the other 3 major highways. Why is it taking so long? Because we want to do complete feasibility studies. We want to do the thorough DEIA, Detailed Environmental Impact Assessment Study. That's why it's taking so long. But if it's taking 12 years, you have to start now. Because if you fail to plan, then you plan to fail. It's as simple as that. For instance, that Penang needs a second bridge. That should have been done 10 years back. And we must remember, you cannot wait until the traffic jam starts. Or you cannot wait to only start building when there is a traffic jam. Because by that time, you've got to wait 10 years before it is done. So you have to plan early. You have to start now. You and I may not benefit, but our children will. And that is what we are doing, preparing the future for our young, so they do not become part of the traffic jam generation.